You cannot visualize freedom while your body feels trapped. This is because you cannot think greater than how you feel. And when you're visualizing, there's also a train of thoughts connected to that visualization. And if you can't think greater than how you feel, like for example, when you're angry or if you're in an argument with somebody, all of your thoughts are quite literally aligned with that feeling that is inside of you. That's why some people say when they're angry, like they're just seeing red or they say things that they regret. It's because they're speaking from an emotion, not necessarily from the actual truth. But this doesn't just apply to anger, this applies to every emotion. And many, many times I've tried to go into visualization to manifest or to just go into meditation. And when I start to visualize, something weird ends up coming up, or I just can't get to the dream reality that I'm trying to visualize because there's this feeling that's in the way that is overtaking that story and creating a whole new set of events in my visualization. It's like hijacking it. So, how do you fix that? How do you actually visualize? That is the most asked question whenever I'm talking to anybody about it is they're like, I sit down and I try, and it's like, I just can't. Like, I just can't do it. So I wanted to explain that and get down to the bottom of that because it took me a long time. There's many different types of meditations that I do, and it really depends on what I'm vibing with at the time. I really, really like I like visualizations, but my favorite meditations are guided ones. I got a lot of questions from my meditation video, my 1000 days of meditation video, like which kind of meditations do I do? So I would say my favorite is guided, but I do all sorts of them. But I started with guided, and I think still 90% of the ones I do are guided. And the process is not just jumping straight into visualization, because like I said, like if my body is in fight or flight, or it's in high beta, or I'm feeling an emotion that maybe I was suppressing or I didn't know was there, then I can't really just bypass to that state immediately. So, what I do is I calm my body down and I take my body out of fight or flight mode. Also, I think honestly, my mic is dead. My mic is dead. So, we're just going to continue without the mic. So, I calm myself down from whichever mode I'm in. Sometimes it's fight or flight mode, sometimes it's just in my brainwaves are in beta. And I do this by using my breath and just tuning into my body and my awareness. I shared this chart on my Instagram today. This is something I've been talking about for so long, and somebody made a chart about it. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what I was talking about. The amount of breaths you take per minute quite literally change your state of being, your body, and your feelings. So, and your brainwaves. So, what I mean by that is I start taking way longer, slower, deeper breaths. Typically, if I'm not able to jump into visualization, I'm having more shallow, incoherent breaths, depending on what's on my mind or if I meditated that day. So, the key is changing your state and getting your body down to a receptive and calm state. And breathing is, it sounds so simple, but it is the way that you can do that. So, starting slowly and gradually shifting yourself down. That's another thing is like jumping straight into breath work. I made this, I got a few questions because I sent out this email newsletter to the community a few weeks ago of the 478 breath. And that's one that honestly can put you to sleep in like 3 minutes if you do it right. Basically, you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8. And I love that one. But sometimes you can't just right away start doing that one if your breathing is coming from short and shallow breaths. So you kind of have to ease yourself into each stage of the breathing. So if you can't do 4-7-8 yet, which is a very relaxing one, then you could start with, honestly, you could breathe in just for like 5 seconds and then exhale for 6 or 7. As long as the exhale is longer than the inhale, then it will be beneficial and you'll start to tune your body out of fight or flight nervous system and into rest and digest. Out of sympathetic nervous system and into parasympathetic, which is what you want for being able to visualize, meditate, manifest, input new belief systems, new emotions, new feelings, etc. So that is the number one thing. Focus on your breath. Become aware of how your breathing is in this exact moment. I just did a 45-minute meditation, and at first I felt so almost antsy. I'm in the middle of traveling right now, so last time I made a video I was in Greece, one of my favorite places in the entire world. And just naturally waking up there and being there puts my body at a natural state of calm. And I'm in London right now. So it's a little bit different. The vibe here is different. So I feel like I need to ground myself a little bit more. But I noticed that, yeah, maybe it's the food too. I don't know. But my gut, I felt like there's a lot of buildup today in my body. So I had to start with my breath and just start by consciously inhaling and exhaling. And very slowly, it took me 45 minutes to get to a place where I was able to start visualizing and embodying elevated emotions of the reality that I wanted to then be experiencing. But you can't just like bypass it. And this can come up sometimes in the spiritual community. It's called spiritual bypassing. And it's neglecting, essentially, it's neglecting the feelings that you have in your body in this moment and trying to not like trying to almost repress them and just completely bypass them and be like, no, it's all good, it's all love, it's like, here's some examples of spiritual bypassing. Okay, you read that. So it's important we don't do that, because then we're more so just pushing more of the emotions that we're refusing to feel or look at under the rug. And doing the inner work and the shadow work of our emotions is just as important as bringing in new elevated emotions and new feelings of our desired future and our desired reality. So it's important, I think, personally, this is what I've learned over the past 5 years of doing this, not to just focus on one and not to just focus on the other, but to do both, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because it's like that song Catch and Release. Like, you're catching onto emotions and you're releasing them. And it's like, I've tried to focus on just one, just like the healing part of it, just the shadow part. And every single one of my days turned into something I had to surrender and heal from. And then it was a constant era of my life where I was just like back to back to back to back, noticing emotions in my body and then having to release them. And I was not allowing myself to go into the next phase of it, which was bringing on the visualization or the embodiment of the new and creating that new neural network in my mind and body. And then I've tried to do it the other way around too, where I just do the visualization. But then again, after that, I'm skipping. I'm trying to do it, but it's like I'm doing it with my mind and my ego. And that actually doesn't get me anywhere. Like, I'm egoically doing it, but then I'm skipping over and ignoring a bunch of sitting emotions that are right there that I have been too afraid to look at because it's an uncomfortable feeling in my body. So my process involves both of those things. And by doing both, I feel like I have such a nicer balance in my life now, and it just seems, yeah, more harmonious to live that way. So if it's anything I recommend, start with your breath. If there's an emotion that's caught in the way, use your breath and your awareness. And instead of listening to the story of that emotion, because again, we can't think greater than how we feel. So that emotion is always connected to a story, a line of thought. And we really, as humans, like to blame the outside world for that story, but that's kind of what keeps it there. So if you can sit with that feeling and not get sucked into the drama of it and the story that it's telling you, then eventually, with acceptance, with awareness, with allowing it to be there, that emotion fizzles out. And then you're left in this beautiful space of the ability to create, and this space of almost nothing and everything, oneness, where you can build, create, embody anything and everything that you want. And then that is the golden space to get to manifest your future reality. And the more that you get to that space by allowing what's the current reality you're living, because every reality has a right to exist. That was a big one for me. Understanding and accepting that every single reality has a right to exist. And that there are an infinite amount of realities that we are experiencing and infinite timelines. And by understanding that, you can accept the one that you're currently experiencing with ease, and then allow yourself to easily shift into one that you would rather be experiencing, or that one that you want to embody and embrace in that space of peaceful clarity, when you've calmed your body down enough in order to get to that receptive space. So I also made a guide about this. It's like a little walkthrough guide on my process. It's smaller than the book that me and Christian are writing. We're writing an entire book essentially on this and on our entire process, what we've done, everything that has come up, all of our personal stories. That should be coming out really, really soon. It's like this close to being done. But until then, I also made like a free little guide that you could start with. Sorry, my phone ran out of storage and this died. And my nails are chipping. I'm a very type B person and traveler. But anyways, yeah, I'll link all of that below. I'll also link my favorite guided meditations below. I filmed one of my own too, so I'll link that below as well. And let me know if you have any questions. I hope this is of help. I'm trying to take as many of your guys' questions and kind of put them into one coherent video that makes sense. But yeah, cool. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna go charge all my stuff. Tomorrow I'm flying back to America. So I will see y'all next week. Okay, bye.